The goal of Biocode 5 is to learn how to keep your focus forward and become fluid and flexible and change quickly when things are not going according to plan. And that's a big ask for you guys, but it's going to help you so much. How many times in our life does something happen and we are disappointed? Maybe something we expected didn't follow through. Maybe we thought that we did a great job at something, and then somebody gives us their opinion and they're like, oh, I don't like the way that went down. I want you to do it over. There's so many pinpoints of life all day, every day, where we need to learn how to adapt and change. And a lot of the time, what we end up doing is bringing our disappointments with us, meaning something happens, we don't like the way it goes, and then we carry on to the next meeting or the next situation, and we bring that disappointment with us. And by the time we get to where we're going, by the end of the day, we are so weighted down, we are so tired, we feel so beaten up. Biocode 5 eliminates so much of that because we can deal with moments of disappointment or change or adapting in that moment. And we could pull our focus forward and rebound so quickly and so rapidly without bringing that disappointment with us. And that's a game changer because then you have the freedom to be able to pay attention to what you're doing without your last situation interfering with where you're at now. And this is really important for us. So let's dive into this new perspective and learn, how do we actually do this? How do we rebound quickly, rapidly, when things are not going well, and bring our focus forward without bringing that last disappointment with us? So the new perspective is life is always here to guide you. And if you don't make the changes yourself, life is going to do it for you. The truth is, there's two types of change. There's change by choice, and there's change by force. And life is always here. Picture it. It's always here to guide you. It's always here to help you. Life is in your favor, and it's always drawing you towards your highest and best next move from where you're at. And if we pay attention to that, then that's by choice. We pay attention to the sign. We pay attention to the change. We adapt to the change very quickly, and we move our life forward. But when we don't pay attention to these signs, to these whispers, they turn into shouts. They turn into screams. They turn into these loud, loud voices all around us that are forcing us to make the change. And I got to tell you, for any of you who have been involved with change by force, it's so much harder than change by choice. So we want to learn how to catch it on the front end when we can, and learn how to use Biocode 5 self-navigation to make those pivots in small moments throughout our day. And if a big boulder comes our way or a brick comes over our head and it knocks us out and we didn't ask for it, of course we'll still use Biocode 5, but we'll have the skills, the tools, and the know-how to adapt in moments as we go through whatever change is coming our way. One of my favorite metaphors is the stream of consciousness. I want you to think about the stream of consciousness just like a stream, like a river that's flowing. And most people, they have a really good intention. I want to have a good day. I want things to go according to plan. And then something gets in the way, right? And when something's in the way, more times than not, we look at that and we get mad, we get upset. Maybe a person's in the way, or just something didn't work out, or somebody disappoints you and breaks plans at the last minute. We think that is like a boulder in our stream. And in a stream, there are so many things that look like they're in the way. Those boulders, those sticks, those rocks, those pebbles, those twigs. It looks like it's things that are in the way. But the truth is, they are not in the way. They are helping you to move faster into another direction. There is no such thing as rejection. It's simply direction and redirection. So let's go back to our analogy of the stream. And if a stream is in flow and it's trying to get to where it thinks it wants to get, right, to the ultimate destiny, and all of a sudden there's a boulder in the way, the stream wouldn't look at that boulder and go like, you got to be kidding me. Why are you in my way? No, that's not how it goes. The stream effortlessly flows around the boulder. And here's the thing. When it does that, it's moving. It's redirecting its path a little bit this way, and then the rock a little bit that way, and the twig a little bit that way, because it's bringing you to an unknown place that's greater than what you thought, than what you expected in that moment. We're going to learn that every one of these directions and redirections are helping us get to where we really need to go, which is far greater than where you thought or how you thought it was supposed to look like. You know, we all have plans, we all have ideas, we all have visions of how we want our life to look. And it never goes that way. There's so many changes that happen along the way. When we start to see it that way, that life is moving us in a better direction by us pivoting and changing, it's going to help us to keep our focus forward and get excited about where we're going instead of disappointed about what just didn't work out or what we just came from. So we want to have this clean energy to be able to keep our energy moving forward. So I'm going to share with you a little story. And this analogy is around golf. And I want you to think about yourself like you want to be good at golf. You want to be good at life. You want, right? You know what you want. You know your goals. You know your dreams. You know your aspirations. In an analogy that has to do with golf, we would say, I want to take this stick. I want to hit that ball and I want it to go in that hole. And it seems so obvious. I want to be healthy. I want to be happy. I want to be successful. I want a good life. We want to get this ball, this idea in that hole, right? And you know you have what it takes. You have the talent, you have the heart, you have the intelligence. In golf, you got the outfit, you got the talent, you got the skills, you got the clubs, right? And you can see your goal. Your goal is right in front of you. It seems so simple. And then what happens in life is we go and we take a swing at it, right? And now, if you're a golfer, which I'm not, but I'll use this analogy, let's say we take a swing at it and we see our goal, but it ends up right in the brush. And we look at it and it's so far away from our goal. And we think to ourselves like, what the heck? All I want to do is get this ball in this hole. I have what it takes. I have the equipment. I know how to do this. But every time I take a swing at it, it seems so far from my goal. And we try again and again and again, and we get so disappointed. Now, I work with a professional golfer, and he uses these tools and these skills in his life and on the golf course. Well, let's say he came over where I was playing golf, and he said, hey, Jill, take another swing at it. He would say something like this: I want you to take your shoulder, and I want you to move it in this much, a quarter of an inch, just that much. Now take a swing at it on the green, on the green. Why? Because small change on the self side creates huge change on the result side. When you look at the results in your life, I don't want you to get tripped up. I don't want you to get worried. You're closer than it seems. Instead of focusing on how far away you are in your goals, right? In your results, I want you to bring the focus back to yourself and make small pivots from the self side, just like a protractor. If you took a protractor and you moved it a tiny bit over here, see, the results follow. The results will follow. So we're going to set our intentions, and our intentions is our big dreams, our desires, our goals, whatever it is you think that you want, put it out there. But once you set those intentions, we are going to drop all expectations to outcome, all of them. And we're going to be fluid and flexible along the way, because your gifts are coming, but they're coming from unexpected places and surprises. So we are going to fall in love with the unknown. We're going to keep the focus on micro moves, small changes on the self side will create macro change on the result side. So let's look at what keeps us stuck. What prevents us from being able to do Biocode 5? And the number one thing that prevents us from being fluid and flexible and changing quickly, keeping our focus forward when things are not going according to plan, is blame and victim mentality. Whenever we feel something would have happened, could have happened, should have happened, if then, when then, these are all stuck kinds of thoughts. It keeps us in the closed energy, the closed door, and it keeps us dwelling on what went wrong instead of focusing on, right, what could go right. You know, all of this stuck mentality has to do with expectations to outcome. Meaning, if any of your thoughts sound anything like this, if so-and-so would just do this, then I would be okay. When this finally happens, then I'll be able to be successful at that. These are all conditional belief systems, meaning you are thinking that something on the outside has to happen before you could be successful on the inside. No, you are going to be successful anyway. And if that doesn't work, something else will. And if that's not good, something will be better. We have to navigate our own life. It can't be hinged upon somebody else's approval or disapproval of what we're doing and how we're doing it. What's also a point that keeps us stuck is feeling rejected by the change, questioning, why did this happen? So many times things happen to us in moments and we think to ourselves, I can't believe this happened. There's so many things that happen in our lives that we don't raise our hand and say, like, pick me. I want to get fired from a job, or I want to get diagnosed with an illness, or I want my project to not go according to plan, or my kids to struggle. No, we don't feel like, yeah, like I want that, like pick that lesson. Those are the lessons that we have to really own and feel and understand, that just because you didn't pick the lesson doesn't mean that you can't navigate that lesson. Instead of questioning why things happen to us, we want to look at it objectively, confidently, and say, how is this here to help me? How is this here to help others? How can I move my life forward from here, still keeping our attention forward without getting stuck by the disappointment? What I have learned in all my years of teaching this, that the people that are the most successful are the ones that are so flexible and fluid, and they change so quickly when things are not going well, and they're on to the next possibility, and they're not dragging that last disappointment with them. So let's all look at this today. And when you feel like you're at a moment in time and something's not going well, we're going to practice pivoting. And remember, when we pivot, when we redirect, when we change, it doesn't have to feel great. You do not have to know your answers. You don't have to even know where you're going, but we have to trust that where we're headed and what we're doing and that next right move from there is leading us to a better outcome. And that's the exciting part. So we're going to be practicing this so you could learn how to think about this in your everyday life. So we're going to practice Biocode 5, and we're going to master change. We're going to master change by choice, and we are going to keep our focus forward. We're going to feel the pain. We're going to feel the disappointment. We're going to rebound rapidly, and we're going to bring our focus forward this week and every week without bringing our last disappointments with us. We got to keep that focus forward and get used to training our thought to constantly go to the alternative thought when things are not going well. And you're going to notice how amazing, how fast and fluid, how flexible you're going to be in your day. Do that day by day, and we know what that leads to, a really wonderful life. So you got this, guys. Let's go.